Hello, my name is Quincy Taylor, and I stand in firm affirmation of the resolved. The state of Alaska should commit to additional significant reductions in state spending before capping the PFD or imposing new taxes. Reducing state spending that is superfluous must be made a priority over reductions to residential take-home pay and the PFD. Contention 1. Alaska must create a sustainable spending budget for future generations because of the predicted and current recession. Currently, Alaska has a $4.1 billion deficit. Our oil is running out, and we have lost 2,800 jobs in 2016 alone. This number is expected to double in 2017, yet our spending since 2006 has increased by 170%. If we do not pass substantial fiscal legislation, then according to the projections of the No Action Plan, where there is no action taken by the legislature, then there will be negative repercussions, as outlined in Alaskans at Crossroads and Governor Walker's projections. As any person that runs a business or even handles their own finances knows, in times of economic stress, spending should be reduced, not increased. Our economy, Alaskans' economy, is based off of oil. Over 1/3 of Alaska's jobs are directly related to the oil and gas industry, and even more are indirectly related. Oil is a non-renewable resource. We will run out, eventually. Tough times are coming. Currently, state spending does not reflect the recession. For the sake of future Alaskans, it is our duty to form and follow a sustainable budget. If we make no changes in state spending in a couple of years with revenue decreasing, we will be financially unable to sustain necessary government institutions and jobs. By reducing state spending and cutting out unimportant expenditures, we are creating a state system that can be used in the future and help the coming generation to build a state structure that does not depend on a non-renewable resource. Unfortunately, with Alaska's recession, we only have two options: cut state spending or bring in more money from the people to the government through increased taxes or capping the PFD. Contention 2. The state government has a duty to cut all unnecessary spending before taxing Alaska residents. Senator Dunleavy is quoted as saying, "Thousands have lost their jobs, representing billions in lost income. In addition, individual Alaskans, some of which were laid off as a result of the crash in oil prices, have struggled to make ends meet." End quote. After understanding how the recession is affecting all of Alaskans, scrimping and saving to try to continue their lives here, does the state feel morally justified in raising taxes or lowering their yearly income by capping the PFD? What about a family of 5, in which the father just got laid off from his job on the slope, and the mother is trying to support her family with her part-time job? Is the state government willing to look this family in the face and tell them that they will be taking more of their mother's already too small paycheck, and will be taking away an extra $7,000 a year that the PFD brings to this family, because the state does not want to cut their spending? The people of Alaska are already struggling, and if the government is allowed to lower their take-home pay, then the people will move away from the state. The state government has a duty to cut all the spending they can before they make negative direct impacts on the residents of Alaska through increased taxes and capping the PFD. One thing that is crucial in understanding the PFD is that the resources of Alaska belong, in part, to the residents of Alaska. In the Alaska Constitution, Article 4, Section 37.13, findings: the fund should provide a means of conserving a portion of the state's revenue from mineral resources to benefit all generations of Alaskans. The state should have no power to take away what was promised to them in the state constitution. We, the people of Alaska, own its national resources and should receive a portion of the revenue it brings. It is our constitutional right to use this PFD as we see fit. If the PFD were to be capped, it would do 3 things. 1. Negatively affect the lower class, many of which depend on that extra income per year. 2. Violate our rights as the residents of Alaska. We own our PFD. Number 3. Cut jobs and income. The Institute of Social and Economic Research at the University of Alaska, Anchorage, estimated cutting the PFD in half could cost more than 6,000 jobs statewide and pull about $1 billion of income out of the state economy that the PFD has supported. Contention 3. It is not necessary for the state to continue to spend as much as they are. In 2006, the state spent $612 million. In 2012, the state spent $1.7 billion. That's a 170% increase. Were the residents of Alaska more satisfied with government in 2012 than in 2006? What justifies the $1 billion increase? Contrary to what budget overseers might say, Alaska's budget is full of areas to cut. The Pelican School District, made up of 11 students, has a superintendent. Why do 11 students need a superintendent? Alaska spends more money on education than all other 49 states, and yet has the 5th worst education rating. 40% of the state budget allotted to schools is spent on administrative rather than educational programs and student benefits. Alaska also spends the most on Medicaid than any other state. As outlined in Alaskans at Crossroads by United for Liberty, cuts can also be made in legislative staff, marine highway subsidiary, criminal justice system, university financial responsibility, PCN and FTCs, and over 120 boards and commissions. $1.5 billion can be cut without hurting Alaska residents or state structure. State spending must be cut in order for a sustainable future and success as a state. I see no ballot in this debate except for an affirmative one. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Sarah Chen and I represent the negative side in today's debate. The affirmative and the negative team agree that it is clear we need to make a change for Alaska's economic future. The negative side will prove the necessity in capping the PFD and imposing new taxes, and also that these actions must be taken in conjunction with significant reductions in the budget of Alaska. Due to this, I stand in firm negation of the resolution that the state of Alaska should commit to additional significant reductions in state spending before capping the PFD or imposing new taxes. Contention 1. We need to cut the PFD and increase taxes. Subpoint A. The Alaska Permanent Fund Dividend. As Alaska's oil revenue has fallen, our permanent fund dividend must match our state situation. Although my opponent has brought up the fact that we have a right to our permanent fund dividend, however, our state can no longer support such a large payout every single year. Even with Governor Bill Walker's controversial cap on the PFD in 2016, the state still paid out over $500 million, and we currently have a $4.1 billion deficit. However, the continued argument against cuts to the PFD and what my opponent brings up in her second contention is that it will affect the lowest income households the most. As a state, we need to look towards the benefits of cutting the PFD and whether they outweigh this detriment. According to a study published by the Institute of Social and Economic Research in March of 2016, reducing the PFD by just $156 per person and diverting the revenue to state government would raise $100 million. And that's just a cap of $156 less. Even though, yes, it does affect the lowest income households, if we do nothing, by the year 2019, the Constitutional Budget Reserve will be depleted, and by the projections of the No Action Plan, other resources that all Alaskans, particularly those in lower income areas, depend on will suffer, such as, quote, Medicaid and other health formula funding will be reduced by 25% to maintain as much federal coverage as possible. All other health care programs will be shut down, privatized, or significantly reduced. These include senior benefits, child care benefits, homeless assistance, victim assistance, housing programs, health clinics, and more. Public safety will be 25% of the current level, leaving most areas without trooper presence. The costs of cutting the PFD do not in any way outweigh the substantial harms that Alaska will face as we give out $600 million a year with a $4.1 billion deficit. Subpoint B, taxes. Unfortunately, tax increases or new taxes have become a necessity, and as citizens of Alaska, we have a civic duty to pay taxes and support our government. Alaska is the only state that does not collect a state sales tax or levy an individual income tax on any type of personal income, either earned or unearned. We in the past have been dependent on our oil and fishing economy to fill in our tax revenue gap. However, crude prices are dropping to the low 40s per barrel. In 2015, the total salmon catch net worth was down 62% from 2011, despite catching almost 100 million more salmon that year. One revenue angle we must consider is an increase in taxes. However, again, we see this argument against taxes for the middle and lower income classes. According to the same 2016 study released by the ISER, quote, two income tax options of 2% flat rate income tax or a 10% federal income tax surcharge would cause the wealthiest household 70 to 160 times as much in dollars as the poorest, which have very little income to tax. A state property tax would also cause the wealthiest households about 5 times more in dollars than the poorest households, end quote. There exist options for taxation, which has become a necessity and a legitimate prospect in Alaska's current economic crisis. Contention 3, significant cuts to the budget must be made in conjunction with a PFD cap and new taxes. We agree that there are areas of the state budget that can be cut, but we need to realize the negative repercussions of cutting different areas of the budget. My opponent in her third contention has suggested that we cut areas of education. However, this may affect the quality of education as well as the opportunities offered to the children of Alaska. There are also areas of the budget that can be cut temporarily, such as road maintenance, but this is only a temporary stopgap. There are areas of cutting in the state level that will turn into cost shifting, such as cuts at the state level pushing financial responsibilities to local governments or increased user fees for state-provided services. My opponent in her second contention argued that we should make state cuts before taxing residents. However, whatever cuts we made must be done with a cut in the PFD and increased taxes, as we are facing not only a budget problem but also a revenue problem. For these reasons, I stand in firm negation of the resolution and urge policymakers to do the same. Thank you.